I moved to Australia at the age of 21 and I only had this much money in the bank. Stay tuned to the video to see how much I saved and how much you should bring with you when you move to Australia. Now I'm making this video today because I get asked a lot on social media, how much money should you have with you when you move to Australia? How much should I bring? How much does it cost to set up? What's the minimum amount you can go with and stuff? And in today's video, I'm going to cover how much money I went with to Australia and how much you guys should bring. And also, yeah, depending what you're looking for will depend on how much money you should move to Australia with. So to move to Australia, I moved on a working holiday visa. When you apply for the visa, you have to prove £2,500 in the bank account, which is around 5,000 Australian dollars, I believe. You actually have to send a screenshot of your bank in order to apply for the visa, and to get accepted, you do have to prove you have at least £2,500 to show that you can support yourself in the country, and you're going to be able to book a flight back, whatever, which isn't that much, to be honest. Like £2,500, you can save that in a few months if you work hard. Is it enough to support you in Australia? Possibly, if you're going to keep it cheap. We'll come on to how much you should really bring, but you could get away with £2,500. That is the minimum because of the visa. You don't really want to be going with any less than that because it's going to be a bit stressful and you don't know how quickly you're going to be able to set up with work and stuff like that. So when I moved to Australia, I had about £5,000 saved up, and it was, yeah, I think it was a comfortable amount at the time. I planned to get work fairly soon in Australia, so I wasn't too worried about that. If I was doing a big bit of traveling, maybe I would have wanted to save a bit more, but considering I was going straight into work, £5,000 is plenty to get me started. I didn't actually work for about 2 months when I got to Australia. I was just relaxing, enjoying myself, and then we spent a good few weeks actually looking for jobs and for houses as well. And then yeah, we actually got set up with a job and a house, and yeah, the money started coming back in again. But I moved with about £5,000. This was after I'd booked flights and my visa. My flights to Australia cost about £600 for a one-way flight, which I thought was pretty good, to be honest. I think they might have gone up a bit since then. So yeah, I had about £5,000, which if you're looking to work fairly quickly and, you know, settle down straight away, I would definitely say that £5,000 is enough. If you're looking to work straight away, I would say a minimum of £3,000 is probably good. You can go with less if you want, but in terms of just having a comfortable start, you don't want to be stressing about finding a job, because when you first get to Australia, there's quite a lot of stuff to set up, which I'll leave a video on the screen there for you guys who, you know, want to know the steps for setting up in Australia. But there is quite a lot to set up, and when you're looking for a house and a job, your money might start to go down, which, you know, you don't want. Now, like I said, it does depend what you're looking for. If you're planning to do a bit of traveling when you move to Australia, or maybe you don't want to work straight away, you just want to enjoy yourself, I would probably bring a bit more than £5,000 to be safe. You can definitely travel with £5,000 for sure. Like, you can do that. I'm mainly speaking if you want to be comfortable. I'm guessing a lot of you guys don't want to be stressing. You can move to Australia with £3,000 and do a bit of traveling and work for sure. It just depends how much of a risk you're willing to take with that. You can move, yeah, with literally not much at all and still do a decent amount and then work eventually. But it just depends what you're looking for. If you're looking to really travel and not have to think about work for the first couple of months, definitely bring more than £5,000. But like I said, it's all up to how much of a risk you're willing to take. But if you do things right and you stay in cheap places and you don't eat at super expensive places and stuff like that, your money can actually last you quite a long time if you're fairly careful with it. Especially if you stay in like hostel dorms where there's like 20 people in a room. I know that's not ideal at all, but that's how you can save good money. But also if you're a couple, me and my girlfriend generally get very cheap hostel rooms because we're a couple, and the couple rooms for some reason are literally always the cheapest. So yeah, just to recap, you need to prove £2,500 for the visa. I would recommend a minimum of £3,000 to move. I moved with £5,000, which is enough to definitely have a very comfortable start. If you're looking to travel and relax as much as possible at the start, I would recommend upwards of £5,000. Depending on what your goals are and how much of a risk you're willing to take. So here are some things to consider when moving to Australia and how much you might want to spend and how much you might want to bring. So the first thing to consider is finding a job and a house. Like I said, this can take quite a while sometimes, and you definitely want to have enough money to support you while you're searching for it, because even though you can find a job and a house within a week or two, it can take a couple of months. I lived in quite a few places in Australia. Sydney probably took the longest. Probably took a good 3 weeks of looking for a job to actually find one. A house, probably like 2 weeks searching for a house. This can take longer. I know there's a shortage of houses apparently in Australia, which it can take longer, so just be prepared for that. The next thing is bonds and deposits, things like that. When you move into a house, sometimes they do ask for quite a bit of money up front as like a bond. They might ask for 4 or 5 weeks rent as like a security bond, which you do get back, but you want to give that to them at the start. So you don't want to be getting down to a few £100s, because you're not going to be able to afford that bond. Like I said, you get it back, but you're going to need to be able to pay it. You know, you could be paying up to £1,000 sometimes for a bond for a house. So you definitely want to make sure you save enough for that. As well as that, when you start work, you're not going to get paid instantly, so it might take a couple of weeks for your first pay slip to actually come through. So you definitely want to cover yourself for that amount of time. And also just be prepared for any added cost that you don't expect. Things you might forget. You might forget to book travel insurance, you know what I mean? You might forget something might creep up. It's just worth having that extra money there just in case. If you can have a separate savings thing for emergencies, then definitely a great option, but not everyone has the luxury of that. Just make sure you're covered for anything that could potentially creep up. So the reality is, you don't need a lot of money to move to Australia. A lot of people think that you need £10,000, £15,000 to make the move. If you're moving a whole family over and you want to set up with a proper house and career and stuff, then yeah, it is an expensive move. If you're on a working holiday visa and you're just looking to travel and live in Australia for a few years, it doesn't cost as much as you think it does. You can move with, like I said, you only need to prove £2,500 for the visa. You could go there with that and get set up very easily. You really don't need as much money as everyone sort of thinks. You can do it very, very cheap. Obviously, the more money the better. I'm not going to say that don't, you know what I mean? The more money the better. If you got 10 grand, if you got 20 grand, obviously that's better, because you can have the most comfortable start ever. But this video is mainly aimed at people who are working maybe in the UK and don't really know, like, think they haven't got enough. Just get your head down for about 6 months, save £3,000 to £4,000, and then you can move. Like, it's really not that hard. You just have to get your head down. A lot of people find it difficult saving money, but you just need to get your head down, focus, and you can definitely move to Australia very quickly. So thank you for watching. If you have any other questions about moving abroad, leave them in the comments. Feel free to check out my moving abroad guide in the description, which may help a few of you guys who want to move abroad, to save you asking any sort of questions. It literally has everything covered, so you don't make some of the needless mistakes that I made when I moved abroad, to ensure that you get the best start possible. So thank you for watching. Get yourself to Australia, as it may be the best move you ever make. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.